Hello everyone, this is Lori from Grammy's Keepsakes, and it's been quite a while since I've been in my craft room, but I thought I would just kind of get back into my crafting by covering a book and making another journal. So I have printed onto canvas this forest floor digital kit from Susan Taylor Brown, excuse me, from Poppiness. And I made it into a book cloth by first printing it onto the heavy canvas, and then I ironed on some heat and bond, and then I applied just tissue paper over to the top of it. And I've made this before several times, but I thought, this is a nice, easy way for me to get back into crafting, and you can join me. So I have a gutted book from the 1950s. I have reinforced the spine with some Tyvek, and that's Tyvek. And I used a old postage envelope is what when they get sent to me, I save them and I cut them up and I use them. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put the fabric on the front half, the back half, and then I'm going to use my bookbinding cloth tape to cover the spine. So I have this mixture of tacky glue that I mix 3 parts glue to 2 parts water and stir it like crazy, and I just keep it in this baby food jar so it's always ready to use. And I just apply it with a paintbrush, and I'm going to go all the way up to the end of this book board before the crease to the spine. And the reason I want to apply the canvas fabric all the way to the edge of the book board is because when I apply the tape, you're going to see the crease of where it stops. If it was just paper, you could just stop anywhere that will be covered by the tape. But I don't want a ridge because it'll be quite noticeable. So I'm applying the glue pretty liberally. Move that aside, and then just choose one of my fabrics. Placing it on the edge of the book board. I'm making sure that I have an inch over at least all the way around it. And I'm just spreading out the glue. You can use a brayer. You can use anything. I'm just using my Teflon bone folder. And then I'm going to use my guide that I have from Colorway Arts to know where to cut this off at, and I'm just going to use a utility knife blade. This metal edge just works great for a straight edge to cut against. And then I might save this. I might do something with it. These two little scraps, though, I'm going to go ahead and throw them away. Okay, and I will be mitering the corners, but I'm going to let the glue dry a little bit more first and go ahead and cover this half. So I'm just going to apply the glue again. Feels good to get back in the craft room, that's for sure. Still trying to deal with a lot of the matters from my mother's estate, but we're working through it. Have to wait for the roads to get in better condition. I have to drive to northern Minnesota where she lived and get there, but the roads in Michigan and the roads in Minnesota are very unpredictable in the winter, even in the spring. So I'm going to play it safe. There's no rush. Just do what I can when I can. And I do want to thank you for all of your condolences. I really do appreciate it. Now, where do I want this beautiful print to be? I really like that and this. I like the purple, of course, but I've got purple here, so let's just go ahead and highlight some of this beautiful print. Making sure that I'm on the edge of that book board again. I want to make sure the notch is on the inside so I don't get hung up with my blade. Now let's check it out. Let's go ahead and miter our corners. This guide is just such a lifesaver for me. I love it. Makes it such easy work. Now I'm going to kind of train my book cloth a little bit. That's the beauty of making your own book cloth. The glue will not seep through to the fabric portion of the cover. Okay, now we're going to apply some more glue and get this edge folded over. It has such a nice feel. I like the texture of the canvas. I'm making sure that I get glue on the edge of the book cover also. Get a good adherence. Now to get the corners, I like to use the Fabri-Tac. I get a quicker stick. So I just apply a spot there and a spot there. And I'm folding over the edges and kind of holding them in place. Let them get good and stuck. And then let's go ahead and apply some more glue. And fold that over. Get my pokey tool in here. Wipe off some of that glue excess. Now let's go ahead and go to the other side. I like to start in the center and bring that over first and then go to each edge. Get it nice and snug. Bring it over. Clip off those long frayed threads so they don't get in my way later. Okay, let's go ahead and do the little corner tips again. And holding it over. Looks like it's working. Get a good grab. And apply some more glue. This method will work for any size book cover. And because my printer will only print, 8.5 by 11 at the largest, I had to print the fabric into 2 pieces so that I have a front and a back, but to make it coherent, I'm going to use that book repair tape. It's kind of a fabric tape, a bookbinder's repair, and that'll make my spine so that it looks like it's supposed to be like that. You could use a painted fabric too. I've done that in the past. But this is a pretty heavy canvas, so I think that the tape would be a better stick, in my opinion. But it's fun to experiment and use different products, so go for it. This is just what I like to do. And here I have oh, it came off. I had a little thread. Okay. So now here we have our book cover, but we're going to take care of this now. So the first thing I do is measure. And I want to find my center. Grab them. I'm going to use a Sharpie. It won't see through it. And I like this centering ruler. And I want my center. And I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And then I'm going to make a line. So there's my center. I'm going to need that line. Grab my book tape. And it's 4 inches wide. And I think that might be a little wide for what I want to do. So I want to trim it down. Oh, and here I have a thread. That would interfere, so we need to clip all those out of there. Yeah, I don't want so much. So, you know what I think I want to do first is, let me see if I've got a little bit of cardboard nearby. This'll work. It's I think it's the back of a pad or something and I want to cut a 3/8 inch strip off of it. So I'm just lining up my clear ruler. Moved a little bit. Make several passes. Still not through, so let me make some more passes. And don't cut your fingers. See if that works. I got to make sure that I didn't, when it wiggled, I didn't get too off measurement. And that is 1 3/8. Let's give that a try. And I'm just going to, instead of measuring again, I'm just going to use it for a pattern. And I'm using the same one for a pattern so that I don't accidentally grow the length. And I'm going to cut 5. So what is my center? I have 8 1/4. So that means it's 4 1/8. Well, I'm going to mark it at the 4. double checking. That old adage of measure twice, cut once, it really does apply. And I'm going to just kind of finger curl this cardboard. You could use cereal boxes. This is the a pad bottom, but you know, any kind of little lightweight chipboard. And then way too much glue, but that's okay. So here's my center. And now I want a top and a bottom. It's just going to give a little more interest to my cover. All the way up to the top. Everything is sticking to my fingers. Oh well. Crafting clumsiness at its best. Okay, now I need to find the centers here. And you don't have to put it in the center. It's just if you like it symmetrical, go ahead and find the centers. Otherwise, you know, you can, you know, do whatever you like. Add interest. You know, like if you wanted that kind of a look. I'm going to go ahead and go for the centers. And let's use our centering ruler again. And find so that's going to be my center, and these are 3/8, so that means I have to have 3/16 on both sides of the line. But I am not going to get into it that particular. I'm going to eyeball that part. And it looks like we're going to have the same here. I'm going to go ahead and put my paintbrush in the water. I don't think we're going to need that for a while. So centering this over the pencil mark. I don't know if it's off a little or anything. I don't care. As long as it's visually pleasing, that's good enough for me. And I can still see my center black line. Okay. Move this aside a little bit. Well, I'm going to cut some of this off, so let me get a strip. So that it's going to be long enough. Then I can put the big roll away. I'll just put it to the side. So I've got this, but first I think what I want to do, because I need to stick it down to my glass mat, I'm going to put this over to the side and clean the mat quick so that when I stick it down, it won't bring up all the little glue that's dried. And to wash this, I just use this LA's Totally Awesome. It melts that glue so easily. It works great. And grab another napkin. When I separate the napkins, I hang on to the layers behind, and that's what I use to clean up my area with. Works great. Okay, now we want this, and I'm going to lay it this way, and I'm lining it up with one of the lines on the glass. And I'm going to use a wide ruler and my X-Acto knife. And before I start cutting, I want to measure again. I want to do 3 1/4 inches. I think that's what I would like. Okay. Now you know all my little secrets. Okay, this tape has to be folded in half. It's super sticky. And that fold needs to be on that black line. And I need to see it. Okay, kind of like that. Whoops. And I'm being careful not to stick it down hard yet, because I want to make sure that it's in place, because I want the tape to be straight on my covers. And I'm going to grab my Teflon bone folder and go ahead and start smoothing the tape between my edges so that it gets good and pressed. See, it's starting to take shape. And if it's a little off, we're human. We do the best we can and go with it. And I just want to keep burnishing on all sides of those little ridges, still working the center. I'm not really sticking down my edges yet. Going in the creases. I like using this tool because it doesn't scar the paper or this fabric or tape. It's nice that it has so many different edges that you can use. And it's about 3/8 of an inch wide. So that's a handy little measurement too. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and work with the fabric, starting in the center, making sure that it's no air bubbles. I'm not going to turn over my edges till the end. And I just take my time and work with it. And you can make this as wide or as narrow as you like, but I think that's a good portion because then I get a nice look of my cover yet. This is what it'll look like, so I get a nice portion of the print. The glue on my fingers. And you can keep burnishing and keep working with it, but let's go ahead and wrap it. So bring it over to the inside. I don't want to fold this fabric edge over. I want it to stay and same thing here. This little edge of the spine fabric, make sure it stays as straight as it can and bring it over. I want it tight or taut, but I don't want it putting strain on the original spine. And make sure that you burnish it quite a bit. You want a good stick. And double checking everything that we're good and stuck. And you get a nice handsome book cover. Got a little piece of glue from my finger. Rubs right off with my adhesive eraser. I don't know where I'd be without that. It's so old and loved. I like how it's turning out. And this is very similar to the last journal I made as part of my design team project for Poppiness, or Susan Taylor Brown. Except now I'm just kind of showing you how I do it. So I'm going to leave it at that for now, and I'm going to just let this rest and dry. And I've got a fun idea, well, I hope it's a fun idea, for decorating the cover. And I'll probably decorate this side. And it's going to have some stitching and some layering and maybe a specimen card that I'm going to make. We'll just kind of play with it and see how it goes. But I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and have a creative day.